All right, Michael, will you check the YouTube?
Sure.
Or I'll be able to check. If you can, you don't have to, babe. We're trying, and
Oops. That doesn't have a line through
all
it.
right, Michael, will you check the YouTube? There we go. And I did it with my what is a weekend accent? You don't have to. I just saw that it worked, so that's
Oh, it's
good.
green, but it's
And
not.
you all know that you can invite your friends. Like if they don't want to come to Zoom, you can always tell them to go to our UU Catskills
Arrow.
YouTube channel most
But
Sundays in Zoom. So hello. Now who did I miss coming in? There's Carol, Robin, Donna, Anne.
I invited my cats and dog, but they weren't interested.
Hmm. All right, I'm going to mute everyone because we're going to get ready to start. So say hello, do a quick wave. Hi, Erin. I'm assuming Jake and Greg are there too. Is that Carol Warren? Another Karen? I'm not sure. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Rosalind.
Hi,
Kristen.
Hi, Judy.
Kristen made it. Hello.
How are you? I'm sitting with Pat. Oh, I don't think she is.
Oh, there's Pat and Abby. Hello. Where did you go? My screen looks so small right now. I don't know why. Oh. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Nancy.
Unmute Judy, please.
Good
Hi,
morning.
everybody.
Hi, Judy.
Hello, Rafaela.
It's Abby. It's Abby.
She's waving to you.
Good.
And Paula made it work. Yay, Paula. You solved it, Paula. You're a rock star. Excellent. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Jessica. All right. Okay.
Hey,
I'm going
Kathy.
to ask everyone to mute now, or I will mute you.
There you are.
Mute. Who's still talking? There we go. Let's see. Okay. All right. Am I okay? I saw Kate come in and Richard. Good morning. Excellent. All right. Thank you for helping me let people in. Yes, because I'm moving away from that screen because I'm about to share my screen. So here comes my mother-in-law. Looks like she's coming in. And all right. Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna give how are we doing on? Just trying to get a sense. How come it says I'm not the host? Oh, did I mute myself and then it tells me I muted myself? Oh, the wonders that are Zoom. Ha 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 ha. Okay. The wonder that is Zoom. Good morning, everyone. I'm just doing a quick scroll through, saying hello. Peter's here. So I have a special surprise. I think it's in March. We're going to partner with our friends in Albany, and their service begins at 10. Now, why do I have a feeling we're going to have a whole lot of trouble with that one? We're all going to set multiple alarms or something. Hi, Jenny. I didn't see you sneak in. Hi, Beth. Let's see who else. And there's Erin and the girls, I assume. Okay, so let us begin. Let me see. Yeah, it's totally a romper room experience, isn't it? Like, this, which, we know your pedigree, Henry, with a romper room. So good morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Dr. Leonisa Artizone, minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Catskills in beautiful Kingston, New York. Thank you for joining our online worship today. I do want to say that we are in this mode. We have been in this mode for months. We will be in this mode for months more. So I thank you for coming back, for bringing your friends. I'm thinking one of these Sundays we should play an Invite a Friend Sunday or something, since we have the luxury of inviting people near and far, although I know many of you are already doing that. But if they're seeking a spiritual home, I encourage you to invite your friends and seekers to their, because as you know, whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. If you are new today or happen to be visiting, please type your information into the chat box, mamma mia, so that we can make sure to get to know you and put you on our mailing list if you'd like, or at least so we know you're here. I also encourage newcomers and old timers and regulars to stick around for our breakout rooms. It's a nice way to get to know new people. It's a nice way to just get to chat and check in. Unitarian Universalism is a unique liberal faith guided by 7 principles and 6 sources. If you'd like to learn more about who we are, how we came to be, visit our website, uucatskills.org. Here at our local congregation, we live into our 7 principles by affirming that Black Lives Matter, by supporting our immigrant siblings and our LGBTQ siblings, and for being active voices addressing climate change and caring for planet Earth. We've got a lot of things going on I want to announce, but I want to do another reminder of our community circles. By now, I think everyone has received some sort of information about their community circles. If for some reason you have not, post that in the chat and we will address that. We have moved to doing community circles online via Zoom. I know, more Zoom, but you know what? It's better than sitting outside in, 0 Celsius weather, because I don't know about the rest of you, but I come from southern Italy and I am not fond of the very cold weather. Although I have a feeling many of you folks are far hardier than I am. But this way we can make sure everyone can be involved. Some groups have not yet met with me or done a group online. So if you want to make that happen, you might have to step up and just be the coordinator, which is really quite easy to do. So if you're interested in getting active in your community circle, connect with your people or send us a note so we can help you connect with your people. I also wanted to make a slide, and this will now be in our weekly updates of key contacts of who to reach out to if you're not sure. Some of these addresses are super easy. Board at UU Catskills, caring at UU Catskills. Mine is, my first initial and my last name, which I don't think I'd ever call easy, but you know it, you hopefully know it. The worship committee loves to get feedback. You can tell them how great they're doing too. uuccworship@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of the office, it's UUCC office. And I have recently added to my bag of tricks a Calendly app, which helps people make appointments with me without 600 emails flying back and forth. So I encourage you to check it out. And then, of course, you can always email me, but that's a good way to start. So like I said, this slide will be in this information will be in the weekly updates and in our next newsletter, so you can hang it on the wall or take a picture of it and have it on your phone. All right. Okay, so we got a lot of cool stuff happening this week. Today, for all the visitors, new people considering signing the book and becoming members, please join me in a breakout room in UU 101. Today we'll be talking about covenants. Today at 7 p.m., we have our grief support group with Leela Clark. On Monday, the Hudson Valley Environmental Justice Coalition is holding a talk at 6 p.m. That information was sent out in the past 2 weekly updates, or you could probably Google it, and I think we might have posted it on our website as well. For Tuesday at 5:30, those of us who started discussing the Indigenous Peoples History book will finish our discussion and decide what we want to do next. I will be doing a special inauguration edition of Vespers at 7:30 Wednesday night. And then Vespers will be taking on a slightly different form starting in February. Kind of exciting. I'll let you know. Thursday, the Climate Action Team meets at 5, and then we are doing our bedtime story at 7. Friday night, a little special thing that I felt inspired to do, and I hope some of you will join me. We are going to hang out and listen to John Coltrane's A Love Supreme and let the spirit and wisdom and imagination and genius that is Coltrane wash over us. And today I'm announcing that I would like to form a caregiver support group to meet with me. I don't know if it'll be monthly, bi-weekly, we'll figure it out. So if that is something, if you're currently caring for a loved one and feeling overwhelmed or just would like some support or be in a room with me and others, shoot me either mention it in the chat or send me an email, and we will make that happen. As usual, I remind you to check our website for all the links. We don't make them public because we're just afraid of Zoom goobers. That everything's on the website, thanks to Karma. Which reminds me, if there is anyone who feels moved to help us with promoting our work, right? Maybe helping us with marketing, with the website, with outreach and communication, with Facebook, please, please, please let us know. Send an email to any member just send it to board or me, or even Lori, if that's the email that comes up first on your email, or write it in the chat that you want to help us. I think it would be greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. So one special announcement slide is a reminder that while Zoom since Zoom has become our mode of being for a little while here, and you're still a little worried that you don't know enough or how to do certain things, the worship committee will host another round of Zoom training Thursday, February 4th at 1:00. And we'll put the link in the next update, and it's for anybody who wants to know a little more about Zoom, or anyone who has that like Zoom anxiety, Zoom fear. Please consider coming, and we will help you out. And now I have a very funny little video that I hope works. And you'll see at the end why it becomes theater of the absurd, but I think you'll enjoy it. I wanted everyone to meet my colleague, Julio.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, so it's freezing. This is what it did earlier. So I'm just going to play the audio so at least you have images of us. So here we go.
It's me, Reverend Leonisa, sitting in my house having a conversation with my friend, Julio Lucar Torres.
It's me.
Rosendale. He's in.
I am in England, Preston.
Preston, England. As many of you know, the worship committee has been working wonderfully, been working their bottoms off to create a series of services all throughout this pandemic. And we collectively with the board decided it might be nice to give them a little breathing room starting in January. So the worship committee, the board of trustees, and I invite you all to welcome Julio, who is going to be our guest in the pulpit from January through May, once a month, the last Sunday of every month. Julio and I go way back to seminary. He's one of my dearest friends, dearest colleagues. Julio, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Leonisa, I would love to tell you about myself. I'm born and bred in New York City, Queens. What up? Ethnically Puerto Rican, ya to sabe. Ah. But yeah, no, soon to be minister, just passed the MFC. My wife is British, so I was like, I gotta be with my wife. We're 4 years long, so we wanted to be together. She's ethnically Indian, so I go to all the Hindu rituals because, I might as well call myself half Hindu at this point. And yeah, used to be Catholic, and now Unitarian Universalist. Cool things about myself, used to be in the U.S. Army, military intelligence. My tools of war were spreadsheets and PowerPoints. But now, I'm an anti-war activist. I believe in the Poor People's Campaign. I mean, my kind of ministry is that of Martin Luther King Jr.'s, the Reverend Doctor. Let's make the world a better place. I believe in the beloved community. every one of my sermons is going to have those two words in it. It's just fact. It's the way I do. Those are the cool things about me. I'm looking forward to get you to know you better. Thank you all for listening.
All right. And you all get to know Julio better, and he will get to know you, I hope. And his first day in the pulpit will be January 31st, 2021. And we're looking forward to it. High five, Julio.
Oh,
One more.
there it is.
All right, folks. You're in for it. Thank
Yeah, so I don't know if the video didn't work. I don't know why it was doing that. But at the end, Julio and I are trying to high five on Zoom. And let me tell you, it doesn't actually work. So that's my, because he goes one way. Anyway, hopefully the video will work at some point. I'm going to ask, sounds like somebody else is unmuted. Can you please make sure you're muted? We hope that, so I hope that you will all welcome Julio graciously and wonderfully. He's a heck of a nice guy. I think you'll really like him. So, and we hope that today and every day you will be inspired by the words of James Vila Blake, written in 1894. Love is the spirit of this faith, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Welcome to this time apart from time. Thank you, Catherine, for that. One of my all-time favorite tunes, actually. We're going to light our chalice now. So if you have your own chalice handy, go back to I'll put the video on so we can all say the words.
We light this chalice in grateful, loving community.
Even in the darkest of times.
Its flame like paths
to courage, justice, and hope.
So it's January 17th. We've had a couple of crazy weeks. My homily will address some of what I'm about to say, but before we dive into service, I want to address the attack on our nation's capital on January 6th. As more and more information seeps out about the treasonous attack by conspiracy theorists, led behind the scenes naturally by the soon-to-be former president, it is horrific to realize what could have happened if these folks were more competent. I believe they thought they were going to burn the Reichstag, but instead showed all of us watching what happens when white entitlement, false grievance, and a stellar campaign of disinformation come together, chaos and violence. If there was ever a moment in our history that shows us our true colors, this was it. I hope that all of us gathered as Unitarian Universalists condemn this attack. I hope we can all see the double standard played out so brilliantly in the news. How white people are treated when they directly attack our democracy versus how Black people are treated when they are simply asking for their basic human rights. How the attackers included the very wealthy and powerful, as well as the seemingly disgruntled and disenfranchised. How mounting evidence shows that the terrorists had help on the inside, which calls into question not only just who should be elected to office, but also who should retain their jobs. How a culture that stands by and lets disinformation and divisive language spew out of the mouth of its leader will come ripe for a reckoning. The soon-to-be ex-president and his white cronies have blood on their hands. I truly believe that this mess happened precisely because the United States of America refuses to address our violent history, refuses to address the systemic racism and systemic violence that this country is founded upon, refuses to invest in education, arts, healthcare, and other endeavors that lift the human spirit, and allows the very wealthy to run amok while the least of our siblings struggle day to day. I know many of us are feeling deep pain and sadness and fear, seeing the images and hearing the stories. When we listened to the impeachment hearing, my daughter and I were moved to tears by some of the statements. We felt kinship with our siblings of color and our elected officials who have made a real commitment to improving the lives of all U.S. residents when they spoke directly to the vicious and pernicious manifestations of white supremacy. Even though some of them were booed and knew full well that their lives were directly in danger during the attack. We also felt rage when mediocre white men chose to not take a stand against tyranny and even tried to push unity, thus disregarding their own complicity. And we also became moved to tears when the Republicans with a conscience broke ranks to speak against the actions of the soon-to-be ex-president. We have a long way to go until healing. Unity will not be possible without truth and reconciliation. It is time for every person, especially every white person, to take a good, long look at the amoral, unethical, and violent foundation of this nation and commit to do better. Our UU principles call us just to do that. And since many of us are stumbling through the days with fear and sadness in our hearts, I remind you to reach out to me or members of the caring team or the UU Catskills community for pastoral and supportive care. This community has much to offer one another, and dare I say, the world, if we remember that we belong to one another. Please take good care of yourselves and each other. Today, during this service, as we also celebrate the birth of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we will invoke the voices of people who imagined, people who use their imaginations as a way of envisioning a better world and a better future for all beings. May their examples help us find a way out of the mess we are currently in. And we begin with opening words from the great Brazilian educator and one of my personal heroes, Paulo Freire. He says, "If the great popular masses are without a more critical understanding of how society functions, it is not because they are naturally incapable of it, to my view, but on account of the precarious conditions in which they live and survive, where they are forbidden to know. Thus, the way out is not ideological propaganda and political sloganizing, as the mechanists say it is, but the critical effort through which men and women take themselves in hand and become agents of curiosity, become investigators, become subjects in an ongoing process of quest for the revelation of the why of things and facts. Come, let us worship together." We will begin by saying our unison affirmation together. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love to all living beings. May we know once again that we are not isolated, but connected in wonder and joy, to mystery and miracle, in the universe, in this community, and in each other. And I chose a bright, vibrant hymn to get us prepared for the week. So please, everyone, join in singing "Enter, Rejoice, and Come In." Catherine Catabiani on the piano and Peter Criswell leading us. I'm sorry, I have to make sure I shared sound, so I'm going to stop. I think I forgot last time. No, there we go.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
That gets the blood flowing and the spirit moving. Thank you, Catherine and Peter. And I scrolled through and saw you all singing along. So thank you. Now, I chose. So when I think about imagination and I think about change, I think about wonder. And of course, I think about children. And you all know that I've been an educator for, gosh, it's 30 years now. So I picked this wonderful little book for us to read as our Not for Children Only. I don't know if folks know it. Okay. The book is entitled Not a Box by Antoinette Portis. To children everywhere sitting in cardboard boxes. And for those of you who have cats, this is also for cats sitting in cardboard boxes, because I wonder what they're imagining. Why are you sitting in a box? It's not a box. What are you doing on top of that box? It's not a box. Why are you squirting a box? I said, it's not a box. Oops, sorry. Now you're inside the box. This is not a box. Are you still standing around in that box? It's not a box. Well, what is it then? It's my not a box. Ta-da! Now I love that because just the lack of censoring, right? A box, when we're grown-ups, we look at it and we see it as a box. We put stuff in it, we pack it up, we mail it, or we put it away. Yet for children or this rabid creature thing, child, or anyone imaginative, a box can be so much more. And I just love the idea that we don't have to be talking about a box. We could talk about society. We could talk about this community. We could talk about ourselves. If we harness the power of our imagination, so many ideas, so many things become possible. So I don't know how many kids are on this today to read Not a Box with us, but I hope everybody liked that Not a Box. And with that, and with all these things we're carrying today, I'm going to invite everyone into our time for compassion and contemplation. I am very aware I am very aware that our country, already plagued by illness, death, division, and suffering in many forms, is once again reeling from an attack on our democracy itself. I imagine many of you, like me, have no words to describe our incredulity, our anger, our frustration, our sadness. It is during times like these that it is extra important to find a quiet time to clear one's mind, time to turn off the news, the doom scrolling, and to find some peace amidst the madness. And luckily, every Sunday, we can also make that time. Now is that time. So I'm going to invite everyone to get into a comfortable position because we are going to do a 3-minute meditation I invite you to focus on your breath. I want you to also notice your body and any places where you might be gripping or holding, where some of that stress and fear and worry is being held. Also notice your thoughts, what comes in, and then gently send them on their way. You don't need to be gruff or angry. Just say, I see you and I'd like a break. When our time is complete, I will ring our bell. Thank you for entering into this moment of silence together. I invite everyone now to place your hand on your heart if you are carrying a sorrow. If you'd like to share it in the chat, you can please type that in now. We have thoughts for Anne's son, feelings of anger and sadness about the events in the Capitol. Yes, thank you. I was going to announce that Barbara Tiger from UUFP has passed away. Sorrow for the United States of America. I'll add a sorrow that almost 400,000 Americans have died due to COVID. Let's take a moment to put our hands on our hearts and feel those sorrows. Know that they are real and that we are here together, holding one another. And since sorrow is sometimes too hard to bear alone, we know we have one another, but it is also important then to call to mind our joys and our blessings or gratitude. If you are carrying a joy, please also place your hand on your heart or add a hand. And if you'd like to mention something in the chat, please write a joy or a blessing or a gratitude in the chat. Zachary gets to go back to UVM. Yes, joy for Judy beating COVID and on the road to recovery. Liam says the toys he has in his life bring him joy. Thanks, Liam. Getting a COVID shot on Wednesday. Excellent, Judith. Cheryl became engaged. She has love and laughter. Congratulations, Cheryl. Sasha likes the joy of sleeping in when it happens. I know that's a tough one. Jenny sharing hope for the future with a new president. Grateful. Carol Hostetter writes that she's grateful for a husband who is fun and safe to be isolated with. I second that one. Elisa has the joy of adopting 2 kitty cats. How fabulous. That will bring you ongoing joy and merriment. Yes, and adding Peter's point, right? Not just a new president, but a knowledgeable and compassionate cabinet. So let's remember that the joys help us get through the sorrows, and every day maybe take a moment. I know I've said this before as a spiritual practice. Name a joy, write down a blessing, start a gratitude practice, something that will help us continue to get through. And now I ask you to join me in a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life, we ask you to carry our joys and sorrows, our worries and our imaginings, our grief, our losses, our letdowns, our gratitude, and our ability for love and joy. Be with us as we enter this new year and time of hope and uncertainty. Encourage us to listen to our still small voice so we may live into our UU values every day. With gratitude and abundant love, we say blessed be and amen. Our offering this month is shared with the wonderful people of People's Place. And I'm forgetting now, I made note of how many meals, how many people they have served. It was some astronomical number, and I know there's still more to be done. So everything we do to help People's Place helps our community. There's direct services to those who need it. So I encourage you, there are the ways to give there. We have our online donation. We have our call in, and of course, you can always kick it old school and send a check if you'd like. So once everybody has that information, I'm going to play our offertory. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of your imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into my imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. I thank you all for sharing in our offering and for all you do for one another in our community. Our reading this morning, and I meant to send it to have a male voice read it, and well, the week got away from me. So I'm going to just read it for us this morning. It's a reading from Dr. Martin Luther King's Nobel Prize acceptance speech. I accept this award today with an abiding faith in America and an audacious faith in the future of humanity. I refuse to accept despair as the final response to the ambiguities of history. I refuse to accept the idea that the isness of humanity's present nature makes them morally incapable of reaching up for the eternal oughtness that forever confronts them. I refuse to accept the idea that a person is mere flotsam and jetsam in the river of life, unable to influence the unfolding events which surround them. I refuse to accept the view that humanity is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and kinship can never become a reality. I refuse to accept the cynical notion that that nation after nation must spiral down a militaristic stairway into the hell of thermonuclear destruction. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. I believe that even amid today's mortar bursts and whining bullets, there is still hope for a brighter tomorrow. I believe that wounded justice, lying prostrate on the blood-flowing streets of our nations, can be lifted from this dust of shame to reign supreme among the children of humanity. I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. I believe that what self-centered people have torn down, other-centered people can build up. I still believe that one day humanity will bow before the altars of God and be crowned triumphant over war and bloodshed, and nonviolent redemptive good will proclaim the rule of the land. And the lion and the lamb shall lie down together, and everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and none shall be afraid. I still believe that we shall overcome. Paulo Freire, that we heard at the beginning of our service, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. knew a lot about imagination. Both of them imagined a better world. Both of them had the ability to imagine new possibilities and then use their imaginings to develop a method, a plan, a movement, and a way of being in the world that would bring their imaginings to life. I believe that their imaginations and their ability to see the unseen though longed for world were their greatest gifts. As an educator, I have long subscribed to Freire's philosophy of education, the belief that education is a liberatory practice, that depositing information into people's heads doesn't teach them anything, but rather dialogue, imagination, alternative perspectives, empathy, and love is where learning and growth happen. This weekend, as we celebrate MLK's birthday, as we see the perils of miseducation and misinformation and a me-centered ethos that has a stranglehold on our population, King's words, his imaginings are all the more poignant. We live in a country that has 2 sets of rules, probably more. Rules for white people and rules for Black and brown people. I guess we also have rules for rich people and poor people and men and women and cis people and trans people, heterosexual people, and our queer siblings. For a country that spouts a commitment to democracy and invokes the voices of elder statesmen who are trying to create something different, we sure do a great job of making sure democracy really only serves some people. And those people are typically wealthy, white, male, heterosexual, and Christian. And this is where imagination comes into play. We cannot begin to assume that people like our soon-to-be ex-president and our soon-to-be ex-Senate Majority Leader actually use their imaginations to envision a better world for anyone but themselves. So the idea of imagination as pedagogy is lost for people who are A, convinced that only they matter, B, are so entitled that there is no need to see another way, C, are sure they know all the answers and their answers are the right answers, and or D, are suffering from a severe heart deficit disorder, which renders them incapable of compassion. I hope none of us fall into those categories, but if one of those feelings rings true, then now's your chance to notice it, name it, and unlock it. Assuming you all are with me in the believing in the power of imagination, let's talk about how we can use imagination as a pedagogical tool, a way of learning, being, and growing. Imagine, if you will, what it would be like for you to go out about your day if you were living in a different body of your own, let's say a Black, brown, or Indigenous body. Take a moment and think of something you do every day or even just occasionally that if you were in a different body in this country, you wouldn't or couldn't do it. I do this as a spiritual practice sometimes. I imagine myself as a Black man or a trans woman or a Black trans woman when I go grocery shopping, or I walk down the street in an unknown place, or when I get on and off an airplane, or doing a banking transaction, buying a car. Any of these transactions are fairly mundane for me, but that's not the case for our BIPOC siblings. Although, to be fair, walking down the street at night when I lived in New York City as a petite white woman always filled me with fear. So if you have an experience like that, perhaps that can be an entryway for you imagining what life is like for someone unlike you. Just a few weeks ago, a phenomenal jazz trumpeter who is Black was attacked and his teenage son physically accosted by a white woman, blaming him for stealing her iPhone. They were in the lobby, coming and going in the lobby of a posh New York City hotel. The white woman was able to attack the boy, scream at the father and son, have the hotel manager stand right by her side the whole time, and then she walked out of the hotel when an Uber driver pulled up to let her know that he, in fact, had her telephone. So, can any of us imagine being attacked randomly in an establishment we are actually paying money to because of the color of our skin? I doubt it. Another opportunity for imagining happened on January 6th. Imagine, if you will, what would have happened if that angry mob had been filled with brown and Black faces. You and I know full well what would have happened because we saw it years ago in Ferguson and more recently in Portland and, well, any other city where supporters of the Black Lives Matter movement gathered to ask for justice and fairness. Tear gas, rubber bullets, unmarked cars, uniformed riot-geared soldiers, and death. So yeah, your imagination doesn't have to work so hard on that one. And yet, amidst that chaos and madness, a lone Black police officer, Eugene Goodman, bless him and his apt name, had the imagination and courage to lure the insurrectionists away from the Senate when he realized that they were not yet out of harm's way. He put himself in harm's way because in that short unit of time, he imagined the horrific outcome if he had let that mob go right, and he took them left. Eugene Goodman reminds me of that Mr. Rogers quote. When I was a boy, I would see scary things in the news. My mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. To this day, especially in times of disaster, I remember my mother's words, and I am always comforted by realizing that there are still so many helpers, so many caring people in this world. I would argue that those caring people are those who have imagination, who either imagine the pain someone else is feeling or who have spent time imagining a better and different world. And this is what I mean as imagination as pedagogy. To step outside of our own selves and imagine, empathically imagine what life is like for other people, what their choices must be like. I was talking with a Tunisian student of mine about people fleeing Tunisia by boat to make it to Europe. And I thought, and the class talked aloud, imagine what they are feeling, and experiencing, that they would risk their lives in the open sea for a better chance. And when we separate mothers and children at the United States and Mexico border, you mean to tell me that not one ICE or ICE agent or government official can stop for a moment to say, imagine what their life must be like to walk 1,500 miles or more to try to find a better life for themselves or their children. I believe our privilege strips us of our imagination. We don't have to imagine alternative outcomes because for the most part, the world, this country, works for us. But if we take time to realize that our perspective isn't the only perspective, that our way of thinking isn't the only way of thinking, that our calling for a more just and peaceful world can be invigorated, inspired, and emboldened by our imaginations, think of what would be possible. I naturally think of children when I think of imagination. Our Not a Box story shows us what real out-of-the-box thinking can yield. Children are wonderful at that. I recall watching, Rafaela when she was very young, the games she'd create, the stories she'd cook up playing with her calico critters, how she'd solve problems in a way that I think the adult mind would have never come up with. And then also the countless young children I've worked with over the years. I would give them a collection of supplies and say, here's your engineering challenge. And then I'd watch them and see what their imaginations would cook up. They would work as a team. They'd share ideas. They'd try out new things, and they'd ask really good questions. They were able to see so many possibilities. Sadly, I think as we age and get inculcated into our didactic, oppressive, success-oriented culture, we lose that. But we don't have to. Our imaginations can be our guides. In this time of transition and uncertainty, I call us also to remember our own UU history. When the Reverend James Luther Adams witnessed mobs of Nazis and Hitler sycophants in Germany, he imagined a new way for clergy to be in this world. He came back to the States and called his Unitarian colleagues to stand up, to use the power of their position in the pulpit to not simply imagine, but to bring into being a different world. This became part of our Unitarian ethos. James Luther Adams, Paulo Freire, Martin Luther King, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, John Coltrane, Alice Coltrane, Miles Davis, Adrienne Marie Brown, Bell Hooks, Nikola Tesla, Beatrix Potter, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Marie Curie, Rigoberta Menchú, our UU youth around the country, and our own UU Catskills children are but a few of the models we have to observe what happens when we use our imagination as a form of pedagogy. As Dr. King states in his Nobel Prize speech, I believe that wounded justice lying prostrate on the blood-flowing streets of our nations can be lifted from this dust of shame to reign supreme among the children of humanity. I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. I believe that what self-centered people have torn down, other-centered people can build up. May we be the other-centered people he is speaking to. May his imaginative vision come true. Blessed be, and amen. I invite us all into singing a hymn that's pretty new to me, so I imagine it might be new to all of you. It's entitled, I Seek the Spirit of a Child, number 338, if you happen to have a hymnal at home. but I did put the words on the, oops, that one. And I want to thank again Catherine Katabiani and Ella Katabiani for recording this for us. So give it a shot. And if not, just read along because the lyrics are beautiful.
I seek the spirit of a child who meets life naturally, a child who sings the world alive and greets the morning sun with glee. Children are real beyond art. May I see joys that give to our heart. I seek the freedom of a child who loves instinctively, who lights our day with just a smile and shines that light on all we see. Children are real beyond all fears. May I see hope's a gift to our tears. I seek the wonder of a child who sees delightfully. Now clouds and cloud, now golden sun, imaginations true and free. Children are real beyond all eyes. May I see faith's a gift to our eyes.
It's a nice one. Add to our rotation. Before I say our closing words, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to remind you that you can reach out for care if you're feeling the need to talk or want some support. You know where to find me. I'm not going anywhere. I also want to let everybody know our racial healing handbooks have arrived. I sent an email out to everyone who ordered, so please check your email about ways to pay for the book. And on Tuesday, I'll send an email about how we can do pickup. If you didn't get an email, then email me so I can tell you how to send your money in for it. Well, it's easy. It's Venmo me or PayPal, but we'll do it. That's business. We'll do that another time. Our closing words are from Black author and activist Adrienne Marie Brown. Imagination is one of the spoils of colonization, which in many ways is claiming who gets to imagine the future for a given geography. Losing our imagination is a symptom of trauma. Reclaiming the right to dream the future, strengthening the muscle to imagine together as Black people is a revolutionary, decolonizing activity. And those of us who believe in this work need to participate, be more than allies, be supporters, be activists, spread love and support. We're going to try our chalice extinguishing in unison again. I am going to ask everyone to go on gallery view. Hopefully you know how to do that. We are not going to chit chat. We are just going to try and unmute everyone at the same time, or you can unmute yourself. And we are going to say our chalice extinguishing words. And then, oh, I can't massively unmute. So everyone unmute and we will begin. It looks like. Oh. And grab your chalice. Not time for hellos or things. We are extinguishing our chalice. So unmute yourself and grab your chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth. Warmth of community. The fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts together till we are together again.
From you
You I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna wait. You can say hello, stay on this. Now, I would like to take a moment. I would like to encourage everyone when we are good. Jane is letting me know who's in her room. If in our breakout rooms, if you could maybe talk with one another about what your imagination, because next week we're going to continue this idea of imagination and linking it to how we might, as Unitarian Universalists, as members of an active congregation, be part of transforming our society and our culture. So maybe we could begin with some ideas, and someone can write them down and send them to me, or just have them in mind, because I'd love to include them in thoughts for next week. But if in your breakout groups, if you could, just start sharing, what would you like to see? What transformations would you like to see? What are you imagining for the world? Now, before I split you off, raise your hand either like this and keep it up, or let me stop recording and